Welcome everyone, my name is John. Today I will give you some details about the module called a compensation. For an activation of this module, please call us at 450-323-1001 and a responsible will contact you either for a demo or will activate this module. Okay, now I will show you how to get an access to that module with the permissions available. Let's go into the setup menu, open the employee menu, and then double click on the permission group. You need to select the group from which you want to assign the access, the permission, or whatever related to that module. Let's click on edit. Now go into tools. In the tools section, you will find the tool called remuneration. That is actually the one I just selected on screen. For an access, either if you want a read-only access or an administration access, you need to give this tool in the allowed section. Now let's talk about the permission. By default, when you have an access to the remuneration menu, it's only a read-only permission, but also for yourself. It's your own remuneration grid. So if you want to be an administrator, there's a permission for it called the remuneration with administrator. There's also another permissions that will restrict the access as being an administrator, but will let some employees, for example, the managers or other kind of manager in your business, the owners or whatever, they will have an access to everyone's remuneration grid, but it won't be possible for them to manage them. So it's only read-only access. When you're done, click on OK to confirm this access. Don't forget to restart your CompPlus. Okay, now we'll show you how to configure your first use of this module. Let's go into Tools and target the menu called Remuneration. Double click on it to open it. By default, of course, if you're an administrator versus if you're only a user, it will be different. Like I told you, if you're a user, it will only be a read-only version that will give you the result. But if you're an administrator, you can manage everything in this module. Let's start by looking at the level. You can see there's a toolbar just up there. If you click on level, you will have all the levels that I already pre-assigned. So let's double click on the first one. This is the limit. So you need to enter a word that will be some kind like a level of reach with a sequence and also a color. We will have an example later about this. Same thing, if I have an example, I double click on the second line, the realistic level. You will see it's actually the second level and it's in blue. So that's the first step you need to do. The second step is to, let's click on plan. The second step is to define the kind of compensation plan you want. So in this example, I already assigned one compensation plan that is in the internal sales rep. If I double click on it, it's only description. And I also did the same with an external sales rep. You can create as many as kind of compensations plans you want in your business. It's really open for that. Let's close this window. And also, if you click on display, that is your configuration part. So it means that by default, when there was a configuration of this feature, it was possible to see the activation, the renewals that were done by the employees, also a ratio of accessories versus number of devices that were sold. Same kind for a protection, additional protection device, something for the profit margin, the tablets. So those will be displayed, but not only being displayed, but also will be considered in the calculation in the compensation plan result. That is something we're going to see later in this demonstration. And also the bottom section where you can see the configuration of variable elements. By default, it is possible to assign a manual kind of product. For example, MyTELUS, which is a new kind of product that TELUS did release recently. And also it's possible to select a specific kind of plan, a pre-authorized payment, kind of accessory category group, or even a specific option. So there are some option elements available for you could say monitor the results of your employee. And of course, depending on how many of those plan type or pre-authorized payments or specific options, whatever that will be sold by your employee, those will be statistics that will be considered when displaying the compensation plan result. So let's click on OK to have an example about this. Okay, let's select a plan in the compensation plans list. Let's open this list. Let's select the internal sales rep. So as you can see on screen, there's already some data that were assigned. For an example, you can see the columns, limit, realistic, performance. Those are the one we've already assigned in the levels. And I already assigned some statistic that are some kind of targets you need to reach, and the employees needs to reach. Every employees that are internal sales rep will have to reach some target. So to be able to be in the limit section, they need to sell at least 10 activation. For the realistic section, it's 15, and so on. As you can see, it's possible to change them, manage them with whatever kind of value you want. So the first list right there, the one I'm just targeting, is the target. It's the target itself. There's also the other grid, which serves as a commissions as percentage of salary by level of result. So for an example, if an employee is selling 15 activations for a certain time range, it means that his target will be the limit one. If we look in the limit section, it's actually 1% of his salary that will be added for a certain time range. So this is the two lists are like linked together at some point. And if we look below, for the list we can see just below, those are the results. So you can use this list as a simulator. So it serves also for the employee's result, but also for you as the administrator. It serves for some kind of like a simulator. We're gonna go with an example. Let's say that the employee has an hourly rate of 13.45, and that the number of hours worked for a certain time range is 160. Now we're going to tell a system that he did 25 activation, let's say 55 renewals. The ratio was 0.4. That is actually the number of additional protection that were sold with the number of device. For the merchant profit, let's say that they were like 2,500, and a number of tablet, let's see, it is actually 2. Now, if I click on display, look at what will happen. Actually on screen, because the employee sold 25, and it's always a simulator. It's not real result. It's only something you want to test it out. So the tool permits you that. So you can see when it's 25 activation, actually his level is super performant. So we can see the first line right there. The column is actually super performant. We can have a visual indicator. It's actually 25, which is the number you need to have if you want to reach this target. Well, it's actually that. But also in the commissions as percentage, you can see it's 4%. Now, if you look at it's all the same for all those kind of results, all of those kind of targets. But also there's also a column called the result percentage. That is actually the one taken from the commissions as percentage. You have the result, which is a number of dollar per hour, that will be added into the hourly rate, and also a big result that will give you the number of the amount of money that will be given to the employee at the end of the time range. And if you look at the square, this bottom section right there, you can see this is a total hourly rate. So basically, it's this hourly rate with everything that will be added. Of course, if the employee reaches those targets the same way. And you can see this is a total commission as percentage, which is 16, and below a big total that will actually tell the employees that, well, you receive 344 and 232 for your total commission at the end of the time range. So it's your simulator rather, and it's possible for you to test, to check or whatever you want, to have an idea of where you're going. So it's really a great tool to give you an idea before trying or starting to use it. Okay, now let's talk about the results. Real results coming from an employee, what he sold, what he did in Complus. So let's click on Employee button. Uh, we're selecting a specific employee. Let's take John Doe. As you can see the list, the two top lists, one is the targeted sales, and the second one is the commission as percentage. But also, if you look down, you can see this is the actual hourly rate of John Doe, and this is a number of hours work. I'm going to talk about those two. Let's talk about the hourly rate, but also the compensation plan of John Doe. Let's click on Employee File right there. Okay, and let's open the second tab. As you can see, this is the actual hourly rate of John Doe, and this is also the compensation plan. So when you're going to start using the remuneration, the compensation plan module, it will be really important that you assign this hourly rate and also this compensation plan to your employees. So as you can see, could be for now, could be none, external sales rep, and internal rep. We'll just press OK. And of course, if I click display, those are the results. So the two upper lists you have right there are actually the compensation plan. That is the internal sales rep, because this is the one that were assigned to John Doe. But also, if you look at the hourly rate, this is his actual hourly rate. The number of hours work, that is the one you can see on screen right now, are the numbers of hours done using the punch clock module. So if you have any questions about the way to use the punch clock module, or you don't know exactly, please call us. We will provide you with some documentation or even a demo. But to be able to have a number of hours work, you need to use a feature called the punch clock. And actually, this is the number of hours that the employee did for this specific time range. That is actually June 2018. So as you can see on the list, this employee did 16 activation, 36 renewal, zero, well, probably sold zero additional protection per device. He did a margin profit that is that number, and he sold 2 tablets. And you got some results based, of course, on those targets that were defined in the internal sales rep compensation plan. But also, you got the big total, the total hourly rate, the total commission as percentage, and the total commission. So it means that for June 2018, John Doe, his hourly rate was at the end of the month 16 and 57. His total commission was 7%, and his total commission was 125 and 4. So basically, this is a concrete result. Okay. Now I'm gonna show you something else that's really interesting. You can use some real sales that were done by employees, but you can take those results and then use it as part of a simulator. So if I click on configure, you will return on the configure section. If I click on display, as you can see, it will take the result just below, and you can always change it. You can say, well, let's see what will happen if it's 25. If I click display, as you can see, you're actually using the simulator, but by taking the hourly rate of the employee, the number of hours work, but also everything else that were entered. So it's really great for this, because you can use it as part of a simulator. You can take, for an example, let's say you're not exactly sure what should be your target. You could always use the average employee salesperson and then assign it as the targets. That is a limit or realistic or whatever you want to set up in your system. So it's really great for that. So now let's return in the employee section. Also, when you're done, when you're done with the with a certain period, you can, and I recommend you to publish it. If I publish it, what it will do, it will fix in time the result that were done by employees. It means that, for an example, if in June, in July, there were remorse about a specific activation or buyer's remorse, and then there's of course a refund, means that at some point it's changing the statistic. At some point in time, you need to tell the system that, okay, no, for a certain range of time, I will just publish it, and it's confirmed that it's that. So as you can see on screen, you got the stamp official. So it means that for John Doe, when John Doe will look on this compensation plan and the result, that will be tagged as official. So it's a way for you to tell your employee that until it's official, it's not. I mean, you need to wait until I do it, until it's confirmed for you, so you can always do some change in your targets and your commissions as percentage. So it's a way for you to manage some confirmation with these targets, with those targets with your employees. Okay. Also, something that will give you some flexibility in the way you want to manage your targets. Let's say that you already did a publication, but you were not really ready, or you did an error. You could always click on recalculate. This will look on the statistic, the real statistic that were done for that specific time range, and you can always do a republish of this grid. And you can see on screen, this configuration has already been published for the employee. Do you want to publish it again? Of course, this publication will be replaced with with that one. So the old one will be deleted, and that's going to be this one that will be official. So it's always possible to change it in time. You could always, even if you want, look at the result. Let's say that you did some additional protection, but I don't know. Let's say it was outside the system, or you want to manage it as something that is being outside compliance. You could always add your own details like this, and click on publish. So it's always possible to change it before. If I click on display, as you can see, it's taking that. So it's taking the new statistic you've just entered. So even manually, you have some flexibility that is available for you. All right, to complete this administration section, we're gonna return into the configure section. And as you can see on screen, when you define a certain time range, of course you need to enter a start date and an end date. So actually it is June 2018. It means that all the statistic, everything that was sold by your employees for this specific time range will be displayed in its result section. So, and of course will be compared with all the targets that was defined by you or the administrator. It's always possible to create a new grid by using the duplication button right there. The reason why it was made this way, it's because usually customers prefer to have a duplicate. They don't want to start from scratch. They want to take something that already exists and then just click on duplicate. So if I click on duplicate, as you can see, it's the active configuration. I'm gonna tell that we're gonna select July, and let's go from the first until the end of the month. It could be any time range you want. It could be for weeks, it could be for a day. It's up to you. If I click on save, you can see on screen I have another configuration, but it's actually, if I switch, it's actually the same. So let's say that the limit is now 20, 30, 40, and 50. If I save it and I switch, as you can see, it's not the same thing. So it is as easy as that. And also, if you want to delete it, you just click on delete. The system will ask you for confirm, and it will delete it. So basically, that's the administration part of your compensation plan, of the compensation plan module. Now we're going to talk about what an employee will see. So I'm going to log into John Doe user, and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, we're actually logged into the John Doe account. We click on tools, double click on remuneration, and by default, it's calculating the result that was done for July. As you can see on screen, it's not published yet. It's not official. Also, on the two tops list, you have the targeted sales, are the one for the compensation plan that was assigned to John Doe, which is the internal sales rep. You also have the commissions as percentage of salary by level result, and just down the result, which is the result that John did for July 2018, but also is hourly rate and the number of hours worked with the total right there in the screen. So everything is calculated automatically. You don't need to do it is what you see right there on screen. And if John Doe had the permission to see everyone's result, by clicking on this button on screen, when you can see my cursor, it will give the list of the people. So it's always possible to have a read-only access, but for everyone in the business. So that is kind of permission you could always give to John Doe as group of access. So that is basically it. Also, the configuration that is being shown each time you're opening, as an employee, you're opening the remuneration window, it's always the last one or the one that is active right now. When I say active, it's either the last one or the one that has no end date. For example, you said that we're in August, you start on the 1st of August, and then you don't want to put an end date. That will be the one automatically that will be shown to the employee when this employee will access the remuneration window. On this, it's all. If you got any questions, you need any support about this module, please don't be shy. Call us at 450-3231-001, and an expert will either have a meeting with you or will answer right away your questions. On this, my name is John, and I wish you a great day.